thanks for joining us for the Real Estate Real Success Spotlight series. Today, I'm looking forward to featuring Kevin Reynolds from Century 21 Colonial Realty in Charlottetown, Prince Edward Island. Kevin joined us in 2023, and he's already earned a Masters Ruby Award, bringing with him 3 decades of local insight and lots of professional experience. Kevin, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you very much for having me. Excited to be here.
So you're relatively new to the real estate industry?
Yeah, I'm only in my second full year of actually selling, but I have a good background where I've worked 23 years in municipal planning, and I worked with a lot of realtors over the years, trying to help them with little issues, putting deals together. And it was always something I had on my horizon to do. So once my kids were old enough and they were on their own, I made the leap.
And what made you want to leave the regularity, the safety of a municipal job and go into something that some might consider a bit more volatile?
Yeah. I think the a little bit of the political world was, once you do it for 23 years, it gets a little bit, I volunteer in my community, I work in my community. So sometimes some of the work spills over into your volunteer life. You're meeting people at the grocery store. They're maybe not pleased with some decisions that local councils are making and whatnot. And all of a sudden the two worlds start to blend together. And after doing it, I had worked myself right up to be director of the department. And once you're dealing with HR related issues and all of that kind of stuff, it just wasn't as fun as it once was. Real estate has always been something that I've had a really strong interest in, and I've known Joel and his father John, who ran Century 21 Colonial before him, for years. So I had a conversation with Joel, and then about 6 months later, the transition happened, and I'm loving it. Yeah, it's really
Well,
really
they are good folks, so you've landed somewhere great. So that's obviously why you chose Century 21. But what has surprised you as you've started in this career? What did you expect that's been different, and what's been exactly what you'd planned?
I think the stuff that I've been told by other agents that have been in the business for a long time is the business is really made on connections with people. I have a lot of connections with people, whether they're contractors or people that I've volunteered with, in sports or in fire service, different things like that. So a lot of that has worked to my advantage to help get me recommendations for people to use my services. I think some of the things that I wasn't quite ready for was just the you don't have your incoming paycheck every 2 weeks. It just doesn't land in the bank. If you don't get up and go to work in the morning, you don't make any money. So a little bit of an adjustment to that for sure. But I was at a good point in my life where I think I had a little bit of savings that I could rely on to bridge that gap for me. And yeah, the transition has been surprisingly smooth. I really haven't had any major items that I've come across that have been difficult for me to deal with so far. So,
You mentioned firefighting. Are you a volunteer firefighter?
I was a volunteer firefighter for 22 years, I guess. I've been out of it for a couple of years now, and I think I've realized that I've probably put my time in. It's a very demanding thing. I did it surprisingly when my children were young. They were raised with me being a volunteer firefighter, so it was a lot of times that I was called away from the dinner table or whatnot. And it really gave me a sense of giving back to my community, and I met a lot of great people doing it. I think my time was just up for it, and when I changed careers, I kind of took a step back from the fire department at the same time. But always loved doing it. Always was a really great way to interact with people within your community. We volunteered a lot doing things that weren't necessarily responding to, fire calls. We did a lot of fundraising. We did a lot of community education and whatnot. I've also spent most of my life in minor hockey children, and my kids are all grown now. I'm recently a grandfather as of January, so I have a little granddaughter that has been occupying lots of my times. I just finished submitting a couple of support. What are they? They are sponsorships for a couple of local hockey team, and one is a local girls curling team. So I like to be something where I can back to my community, whether it's financially or it's time or it's sharing something on social media. Yeah, I do really enjoy that part of the real estate industry, which is it puts your name a little bit more behind it, even though kind of what you're doing. And I always had good support in my life growing up, and I want to give that back to other people to give them the same support.
What kind of skills have you had to learn to be a real estate agent?
I think there's a lot of technical things. When I did my training first, I was very overwhelmed. I have a bit of a technical background with computers and whatnot, but I was a bit surprised at how many different platforms you have to actually get experience on, whether it's our own Century 21 platforms that we use for marketing and whatnot, or if it's our local Paragon systems, or if it's realtor.ca. There's just a lot of different things that you have to be familiar with. Once you get into it and you start using them a little bit, I think the learning part becomes a little bit easier because you're actually applying the knowledge rather than just trying to study everything and hope you remember it all.
Yeah, it's always use it when you need it.
Exactly.
What are some of your favorite tools to use?
I've had the pleasure, or I should say, the experience of always using web forms. So I've never had to do the old manual transactions, but I did this past summer. I had clients that they just were not tech savvy at all. So I had to print off some actual hard copy documents and bring it to them and sit with them face to face and pass the documents around the table and get people to sign. And when I came back to the office, I was laughing and I was talking with the other staff, and I said, I think I took for granted how powerful the technology platform is when you can use things like Authentisign and whatnot, and you can send documents electronically and not have to, one, travel back and forth, to simply sit with the people, to have to ensure that everything is signed properly, and then bring it back to the office and scan it and still enter it digitally. So I think the technology piece is really something that I'm glad is there. It's remarkable how much you can do just from your own home office if you need to, or if you're on the road, you can do it on the road as well.
What about marketing, social media? Is that something you've embraced, or are you still mainly relying on your past career to fuel this one?
No, I have really upped my social media significantly, I would say. I've always been a social media user, but not necessarily a participator. I was there more to see other people's things. Now I've become very comfortable doing my own Facebook Lives, posting regularly about new listings or things that are happening in the local market, trying to educate people a little bit, and just trying to bring my face and the brand a little more active in the local community. I've got a lot of good feedback from that, and I hear from people that they see my stuff all the time, and that's encouraging. That if you're going through the work, that you actually get the feedback that people are actually seeing it. So, yeah.
So interesting you say that, because how do you judge whether it's working? Because it's a really big step for a lot of people to put themselves on social media. How did you become comfortable with that, and how did you decide it's worth continuing?
I've had some encouragement for sure from our marketing manager in the office, Graham. He's fantastic. He'll give you little tips on things to do. Even the way that you're holding your camera or the distance that you are away from it, and what to have in the background, those type of things. And I've always been somebody who I've spent a lot of time speaking in front of groups at public meetings and stuff like that. So I've never really had the fear of being in front of the people, but what do I say? What do I show? That type of thing. I've had great support from the Century 20 Colonial One team to help me know what is worth posting and what is not. What doesn't work so well. And we do a lot of background research. We'll look at some sponsored ads that we have done, or even just regular Facebook Live posts that we put up, and we'll look at the insights in the background and see how many viewers are we getting. What type of feedback am I getting? Am I getting any showing requests or listing appointments from it? So yeah, we try and keep a bit of an eye on it to see what's working and what's not.
So what advice would you give to another new realtor?
I think one piece of advice I would give is do your fundamental things, do the things that you're comfortable with, and those are going to be your primary things. But don't be scared to take on a new adventure, whether it's putting yourself out on social media. Start small, introduce yourself, maybe even if you're at an open house, just jump on, do a quick live, tell people where you are, what you're doing. It really tends to open up a lot of communication with people. It makes people more familiarized with your face and that you're in the business. Nothing worse than running into people that you've known for years, and they say, "Oh, I had no idea that you were in the business." So I encourage people to kind of get outside your comfort zone a little bit, do some of the things that are being recommended, and find out what works for you. Find out what you're comfortable with, and focus on that. But never be too scared to try something new.
So I've got a strange question that you probably weren't expecting, but it triggered when you said that.
Yep.
When you run into someone how do you ask them for business, especially if they don't know what you've been up to? Do you find that awkward, or is that just part of the job?
I think I found it awkward at first, but I think I have found ways to, not just insert what I do into the conversation. You may not know, I've left the town after 23 years. I left the town. I've been with Century 21 now for in my third year, second full year of actually selling. Really enjoying it. Don't know if you have anybody that or maybe looking in the future for a realtor, but keep me in mind if you do. It doesn't have to be really directly like that you're asking for their business right at the time, but just kind of drop a little note that, hey, I am in the business, and if you ever know anybody in the future that is looking, I'm happy to answer any questions that they might have, and just kind of go from there. Sometimes even that little bit of a conversation will ask people do you have contact information? And always make sure you carry a business card with you. That's a trick that I learned. It sounds kind of old school. I think a lot of people carrying business cards and stuff around, but it is still one of the most, it's the easiest form of contact you can do. And I find when people ask for your business card, they are legitimately taking the business card in their hand. So they're going to do something with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Is there anything you think I've forgotten to ask, or you wanted to share about getting started?
No, I don't think so. I think starting into a business like this after doing a whole different career for 23 years was a big step. But I think it was something that I wanted to make sure I was going to an organization that was going to support me, that was going to have the right mechanisms in place to make, if I was going to be successful at this, I wanted to give it everything I could. And, Century 21 and Colonial Realty have just been, they've exceeded my expectations, I guess is what I should say. Whether it's locally or it's regionally, it's really a great network and a family that is very, very supportive. It's been really, really good. I can't say anything negative about it. You have your good days and your not so good days in real estate, like anything else. But pick yourself up, dust yourself off. Tomorrow's another day. Keep going.
Awesome. Thank you so much.